welcome to my channel. In today's tutorial we are doing a fox. We're just doing a little head study of the fox. It's not the largest picture. I've done mine on a scrap piece of paper, so it's quite small, but if you want to make yours larger, do go ahead and make it larger. Everything you need is listed below, including the link to either the Facebook group or my website, where you can find the reference photo and the line art and a materials list. If you have any questions, leave them down below. Subscribe if you haven't already. We do monthly tutorials. Sometimes we get an extra focus tutorial. And let's get started. So whenever I'm doing a tutorial, I always start with the eyes. And our little fox is going to be no different. We're just going to start with our dark sepia. And with the dark sepia, we're just going to come along and we're going to get the shape of the eye mapped in and the size of this eye as well. So I'm using just light pressure at the moment while we just get the shape of this eye in. So I've done a lot of updating to my website. It's already gone live by the time you've seen this, but you will see that I've got all the tutorials listed on my website, and each tutorial's got its own page where you can find the reference photo, the line art, the materials list, and the link to part 1 for each tutorial, because obviously as we start getting more tutorials done, it's going to be harder for people to find the tutorial they're after, so it's all in one place on my website. And I'm just bringing the top of this eye in as well. And then we've got a darker line. So it's not the largest eye. I may do another fox which is on a larger scale. But this is just drawn in with the dark sepia. Okay, I'm then going to get my ivory as a base layer. Okay, so with the ivory, I'm just going to get a nice base layer on this bottom section of the eye. So again, just working section by section. And then I'm going to take the burnt ochre, which I've not got out. We'll probably be using a lot of our burnt ochres. And I'm just going to apply this over the ivory. And then the burnt sienna. And sharp pencils, especially when it comes to the eye, because the details are so fine and small, especially because of the size that I've drawn this one. But it's nice to do something a little smaller to show that you can get details still. Burnt ochre again. Okay, and then just that ivory again on this side. And the burnt sienna. Okay, so you can see already we're just starting to build up a really nice shape to this eye. Get my dark sepia and I'm just going to darken that little mark a bit more in there, and then back to the burnt sienna. Okay. Right, I've just zoomed in a bit more so that hopefully you can see that detail within the eye better. I might try and zoom you in a little bit more as well. Right, so within this eye we've got a nice kind of glassy look to the eye, and we're going to create this by using our warm grey 1 as our base layer. So with the warm grey 1, I'm just going to bring it across this eye. So it's like in the middle, we've got like a little stripe going across the middle section of this eye. And then in the corner here, I'm going back in with my Ivory. Okay, and then I'm going to take my burnt ochre in this corner where the Ivory is, and this is just so I know where that darker colour within the eye is, and then I can work on this section. So I'm going to take my cinnamon and bring in the cinnamon over this warm grey one. We also need to just bring in the pupil or the iris a bit more, so dark sepia, very light pressure, I'm not pressing too hard. And then I'm going to go over that with the warm grey one, just to lighten it off. Hopefully you can start to see you getting that glassy eyed look. Let's see Sienna down here. Right, back to the cinnamon. And in this corner. And then I'm going to go over this middle section again with the warm grey one. I think this would look quite nice, quite large actually. Burnt sienna. This is definitely going to be a quick tutorial. Well, I'm saying that, it probably won't be now I've said that. Right, oops. I've then got the black. And we're just going to start to darken. Once you start to bring in this contrast, you're going to really see the change within this eye. Everything's quite mid-toned at the moment. Okay, so I'm going back with my burnt sienna. And I'm just going to darken the top of this eye. Round. And the burnt ochre. And I'm just going to blend that burnt ochre slightly into that warm grey area. So you can see we're getting that shine to the eye. Bring that around here. I'm going to get my green gold. And this is going to bring more of a yellowish tone into this corner. So these are kind of the colours that we're going to be using in the fox as well. Burnt sienna. Okay, and then back to my black as I go around this eye. I'm just going to blend that black ever so slightly down. Okay, and then I'm going to get my gold. And this is just going to bring in some little details in here. And then take your white across that glassy area. I'm just doing circular motions. And I'm going to blend it across this area as well. Okay, and we've got a little eye. Just want to darken that middle section up here. Okay, I'm just going to take my Dyck Brown and just bring in a touch of that Dyck Brown in there. And then the burnt ochre again. Just over the top there. Okay, right, so we've got the corner of this eye, so the warm grey one. Then the cinnamon. It's not a large eye, we've not done loads of detail, but we've got enough detail. This is the black. There's enough detail to show what is going on. Going to the dark sepia. It's not as dark as the black down here. Okay, right. Then I'm going to take my warm grey one again. Just going to lift this little bit of graphite. Oops, get a point on it. Do this corner of the eye. Oops. Ghost in the kitchen, knocking a glass over. Okay, so warm grey one as the base layer. And then I'm going to come in with my dark sepia. Very lightly, not pressing hard. Just along this edge where it's going to start to blend into that fur. And then we've got a darker. Okay, and then I'm going to take my Caput Mortuum. Hang on. Okay, so my Caput Mortuum over that dark sepia that we've just added down. And then I take the warm grey one again. Over the top, back to the dark sepia. Just to darken and blend out. Just going to take my Caput Mortuum again. Just building up that layer. Okay, right, so now we can get some of the fur going in around our fox. So we're going to use the ivory, oops, as our base layer. And I'm going to make sure I'm lifting that graphite. Now we are going to have to pay close attention to fur direction. It does change as we work on this guy. Or girl, whatever you decide. Okay, so that's the ivory. Then I'm going to take the burnt ochre. Like so. So we've got a little gap of ivory here, and here is the burnt ochre. And I'm just going to do another layer of the burnt ochre, especially in this corner here. So just keep applying a couple of layers of this burnt ochre so we get a nice orange, another base of orange basically. So we've got the ivory as our very lightest colour, and then we've got this ivory over the top. Okay, and I'm going to take my green gold, and we're going to use the green gold over the top of this burnt ochre in this corner. And over here. Again, I'm following that fur direction, so it's going across this eyelid. Then taking the Sanguine. And just bringing in some of this darker coloured orange. I'm going to take the terracotta actually. I think the terracotta might be a bit nicer. And then I'm going to go over that again with the burnt ochre. See, we're starting to get a nice orange yellow tone to our little fox. Okay, I'm just going to get the ivory there. And then I'm going to take the cinnamon. So we're going to be using quite a bit of the cinnamon in this fox as well. Remember, you want to blend that into that burnt ochre that we've already got down. And then we'll take the burnt ochre. Okay, the ivory. Just getting a base layer around this eye. Okay, now it's a lot lighter up here, but we're still going to start off with a burnt ochre. Again, following that fur direction, so it's coming down this side of the eye, but then it's curving up and over here, and then at this side it's going up that way. So already the fur is changing direction so many times. Okay, and then I'm going to take the cinnamon. Sorry if you can hear my dog chewing his treat. Right, and then we want the terracotta. It's going to be quite bright orange coming up in here. Right, so I'm just going to go back to that burnt sienna. Just want to darken this eye up. Now that I'm getting some of that fur in around this eye. And I'm going to take the sanguine in this corner. And then the white. Okay. Now going in with a light yellow ochre. Over that burnt ochre. And then again the burnt ochre. Okay, then got the brown ochre in this corner, and then I'm going to go back to that burnt, dark sepia, sorry, and just darken the edge of this eye up, and bring in a little bit of detail, and the same just down here. Okay, right, I really want to get this nice orange tone going on, so I'm going to get the sanguine nice and sharp, and we're going to bring in that nice orange tone under this eye. A bit darker now, so harder pressure. When I say it's darker, it's just harder pressure. And you can see it just gives you that really nice vibrant orange. Right, the ivory again. So all we're doing is we're getting this eye in place. I'm going with the green gold this time. And then the sanguine. Followed by, as we come down here, the light yellow ochre. So these are the kind of colours we're going to be using for our fox and the cinnamon. Back to the green gold. And the sanguine. the cinnamon. So you can see it's just a little bit of rotating between these colours. And then burnt ochre. Just slowly building up some nice tonal values within our fox. So this is the Sanguine, and I'm just bringing in some little details. So really sharp pencil, so that I can get those details in over the top there. Okay. So I'm just getting my putty eraser and just lifting some of this graphite. And this is coming down to where it starts to go into that whiter fur. So we've got a little bit of white fur with this fox. I'm just bringing that ivory all the way down to there. So back to the burnt ochre. And I'm also going to take the cinnamon. It's a little lighter here. You can take that ivory and go over the top, and that'll give you that nice lighter colour as well. The Sanguine to just blend in. So I'm always wanting, you can see we're getting some really nice smooth transitions with the colours. That's what we're always looking for, those smooth transitions. And this is the burnt ochre again. Right, let's have a look. I think we're going to come across the nose here, so lifting that graphite again, where it's connecting to the white fur. The ivory. I don't think this is going to take us too long to draw. Like I say, I've not drawn mine that large, I've drawn it quite small. So taking the Sanguine, quite an orangey tone here. I did use a scrap piece of paper for this one, rather than opening up a new pad. I'm just going to get my ivory in so I can get these colours. But I'm only going to use mine. I'm going to hopefully put this guy on some greeting cards, so this size is perfectly fine. So this is the Sanguine, and again I'm just following fur direction while I'm mapping this in with the Sanguine. And then I'm going to get the terracotta and do the same. And then over both of them with the burnt ochre. And I'm going to get my green gold. So I'm just going back to my dark sepia, just on this eye. Just want to darken this a little bit up. There you go, that looks better. Okay. So I'm just going to lift all the graphite along this nose, where the fur is orange, along this nose. And then I can take my ivory and just come in, oops, with this ivory. So hopefully, if you guys enjoy doing this wildlife piece, there will be a lot more. I have a lot planned. I also want to do a farm animal. And I'm thinking doing the farm animal on drafting film, so a different type of paper. And that one will definitely include the slice tool. Right. So we're going to go in with the terracotta. Let's have the terracotta first. And then along the top of this nose, it's more pinkish, so I'm just going to come in with a cinnamon. Let me just move you over. I realised it keeps moving. Right, so the light yellow ochre. And then over the top of that with the burnt ochre. It's got quite a pinkish tone there actually. I'm going to get my Venetian Red because it has got quite a pinkish tone. Okay, and then back to the light yellow ochre. And now here, because it's quite soft, we're going to just use circular motions. And we're just going to get that nice softness to the fur with these circular motions. And then I'm going to do the same here with the Venetian Red over there, very lightly. I'm not pressing hard. It's light pressure. And then the burnt ochre. Okay, and then I'm just going to take my Beige Red. Harder pressure. Over here, right, so I can start building up again. So back to my terracotta. And this is where I'm bringing back in those fur strokes. And then back to my burnt ochre. A few little pencil strokes on there. So you can see now we've got a nice nose and area built up. Back to my putty eraser. Lift some of that graphite. And then ivory as the base layer. Now you'll notice I've not used any paper under my hand. I'm going to keep this piece for myself because it is quite small. I'm not going to sell this one, the original. So if you're selling your originals, make sure you're putting paper under your hand. It just protects the paper from your natural oils on your hand. So if this one fades over time, it's okay because it's my drawing. It's for me. Right, back to the cinnamon. Again, this is just over the ivory area. And then the light yellow ochre. We'll definitely have to do another fox. One where I draw mine a little bigger. I've actually got terracotta now. I've got a photo saved of a fox, of a vixen with her cub. So maybe we'll do that one, because that'd be a cute one. The terracotta's just going over that yellow glaze. And I'm bringing that terracotta down into here now. Okay, so as we come here, I'm just going to bring that light yellow ochre across this ivory. A little bit into that cinnamon. Okay, I then want the burnt ochre. Again, make sure you're following that fur direction. And then the terracotta. So back to the burnt ochre. And the cinnamon. Okay, so we've got a darker patch of fur here, so I'm just going to get my Sanguine and we're just going to come in with a Sanguine. Build up that colour. It's coming down here. And then back to my terracotta because it's quite an orangey tone. So we're going to make this fox a little vibrant. But that's fine. And then the burnt ochre again just in this corner. So remember, as you're doing your colour choices are going to sort of indicate your kind of style. Somebody might not go for as vibrant a colour. This is the terracotta again. So don't worry, if you don't want to go as vibrant as this, maybe you just want to stick to the Sanguine and the burnt ochre and the pinks. You can. And then I'm just going to take my green gold again. Now I'm using this green gold because I know how it interacts with the oranges. So it's worth playing around with your pencils and just layering different ones and seeing how they work together. And then the cinnamon. Sometimes it's hard for me to say like why I'm using a certain colour. I do try, but sometimes it's just, I just like how it interacts with the colours. Then the burnt ochre. Right, we've got a darker bit of line work going on here, so I'm going to get my Dyck Brown. Got a little darker spot. No, it's not a big area, it's just a few little lines, so that's all I'm going to do. A few little... And then I'm going to get my dark sepia. Now we will have a load of whiskers to draw in. I'm going to leave the whiskers till the end because it's going to be going over the white fur as well. And then I'm going back to that cinnamon. Circular motions here because I want it to look quite soft. Very short fur on this nose. Just blend over there. Okay, right, back to my putty eraser just to lift some of this graphite and the ivory. Okay, so back to the light yellow ochre. That's coming about from this corner, so I'm measuring from this corner of the eye, and it's going to be about here. So you're using that eye as a reference for your fur as well. And then I'm going to take the cinnamon, because we've got some pink tones showing through. Okay, and then the burnt ochre. And the sanguine. That's not sanguine, sanguine. Because it's coming back up from this eye. Okay, and the terracotta. Okay. And I'm just going to get the sanguine in this corner here. Okay. Right, I'm now going to take my beige red. Getting some really nice pinkish tones coming through here now. And then the burnt ochre. Then taking the warm grey one and blending that down and over the beige red. And then back to the burnt ochre. Just gonna get my terracotta. Okay. Back to the burnt ochre. And then a bit of the cinnamon. And then I'm going to bring all this together with the terracotta. Okay, and then I'm going to use just the ivory very lightly just to blend and smooth out some of this. Okay, get in there slowly, slowly. I'm just going to bring that burnt ochre in a little bit more on here. Okay. Our little fox is looking quite cute. Right, back to the putty eraser just to lift that graphite. And then the ivory. Oops. Over the top. And then we're going to use our burnt ochre. Oops. Is that in focus? Yep. It is now anyway. And I'm also going to bring, oh, don't chuck your pencils, bring in the brown ochre. And then the cinnamon for those pinkish tones that are going on as well. So even though obviously we know foxes as being like an orangey red colour, there is a lot of pink tones going on in that fur. I'm also going to use the light yellow ochre. and then come back in with a terracotta just to blend these areas nicely together. Burnt ochre. Okay, I've got the cinnamon, sorry I just knocked the camera again. I'm just going to use the sharp point and just bring in some little details. And then the beige red. Over the top there. Okay, back to the ivory. And then over the ivory, the beige red. And then a bit of the burnt ochre. And then I'm just going to take the white and just burnish along here because it's a lot lighter. You see, there's just light in there, and I'm just going to do the same in here. Okay, so I've got my cinnamon. Oops. I'm just going to bring in some more of that cinnamon along this head. Ever so slightly, and then back across this bridge of the nose. And then with my sanguine, I'm just going to darken along here again. Just want to bring in some detail now. Really start to show what this fur is doing. And again, I'm just going to bring a little bit, not pressing too hard up here. I don't want it to be too peachy orange, but we just want that colour ever so slightly up there. So what we've got is all the base colours are now down. So I'm just building up some little extra details with our pencils. And then the burnt ochre. And again, just building up those details, following that fur direction. Like so, and then the light yellow ochre. And then back to the burnt ochre. And I'm bringing that burnt ochre over the cinnamon as well. Like so. Okay, so I've just got my Van Dyck Brown, and I'm just going to start to bring in some of these little darker fur strokes around the eye. And just blending that outwards. And along the bottom of this eye. Okay. And then with the burnt sienna, again, just going to come in, bring in some little details under this eye. So I'm just trying to now start to bring this piece a bit more together. We've got base layers down, but just want to start bringing our little fox to life. Back to the burnt ochre. I've also done this tutorial. Obviously mine's quite small, the measurements will be down below, and it's going to show you that we don't need to do a large piece to make it look realistic. We can do a smaller piece. Just going to keep this burnt ochre coming over here. I think as well this piece will look more together once we've got a lot more detail and a lot more of the head drawn in. I'm going to use circular motions as I come down the bottom of her nose. And then over the top of that with the cinnamon. Blend that outwards there. And then the light yellow ochre. Okay, then I've got my beige red. And just blend downwards here. And then I'm just going to take my Van Dyck Brown, where we have that darker little marking, and just use the Van Dyck Brown. Back to the Sanguine. I'm just adding little fur strokes, a little bit of detailing over the top there, and then the beige red. Okay, I'm happier, getting happier now with our little fox head. I want my terracotta, and again I'm just gonna need to sharpen this. So with the terracotta, I'm just gonna come back in here, bring in a little bit of that orange tone. I feel like I've gone a little dark here, so what I might do is just get my slice tool. Don't worry if you don't have the slice tool. I would recommend getting it. I do use it a lot within my coloured pencil work, and it is very helpful at just bringing in some extra details. So I'm just using it on its side and just scraping away the pigment that we've laid down. You can see it just brings in some extra details. So it's very worth it. It's just a ceramic blade. You use it to open parcels, like a parcel opener. But once you've built up a lot of layers, you can see you just get a really nice removal of that pigment and extra fine details. And then I can come back in if I wanted with my burnt ochre, back over where I've just scraped that pigment and just highlight some of those areas again. Or if I've removed too much pigment, I can go back in and add the pigment back. So it's a really great tool to use. I'm just going to bring that burnt ochre back in here a bit more. Okay, see, our little fox is looking pretty cute now. Okay, I'm going to get my cinnamon. Just going to start up here. And then I want my brown ochre. So we're doing a bit more of a yellow tone now. Along there. Okay. Just going to stick to this brown ochre actually, so bring it along the top of this eyelid. And then I can go over the top of that with the terracotta. Yeah, that's better. Right, I just want to define this eyelid a bit more, so I'm just going to get my Sanguine. And then over the top of that with the burnt ochre. Blending it outwards both ways. Remember, we want a nice smooth transition between these areas. Okay, back to my ivory, and we're just going to bring in a bit more around this eye. Quite a bit of the fox done today. I think the next part will be the ears. Quite a bushy ear going on there. Or wiry fur. So that'll be a lot of fun to try and capture. Okay, so burnt ochre. Again, make sure you follow that fur direction. Okay. So that's the burnt ochre as a layer, and then going to go in with the light yellow ochre because it's got a very yellowish tone on the fur. And then back over with the burnt ochre once you've applied that light yellow ochre. Okay, now I'm going to take my cinnamon and I'm very lightly going to start bringing in some pink along this fur edge and in this area here as well. So I'm remembering where we've got those pinkish tones showing through. We're just going to keep it uniformed and showing all the way through our little fox. And then I've got my terracotta, and we're just going to start bringing in some little fur details, so little V's, just to indicate little clumps and clusters. And then I'm going to take my brown ochre. I'm going to press a little harder to detail around the eye. So this is like the top eyelid. I'm using that brown ochre to bring in that detail. Like so. Back to the burnt ochre. And then I'm going to use the terracotta again, just to detail. So the more layers we add, the more depth to this fur we're getting. And I'm not doing a big, you can see how I've got gaps of the lighter fur showing through. So when you're doing the terracotta, that's what you want to do. You want to make sure you're leaving gaps. So you've got these darker clumps of fur, and then you've got those lighter clumps showing through. Okay, and I think I'm going to leave our little fox at this point. In the next part, we're going to do that ear. Yeah, and then we'll start getting the rest of our fox's face drawn in. So I hope you're enjoying this one. It's going to be a lot of orange and yellows going on. Any questions, leave them down below, and I will see you all in the next part. Bye, everybody.